Check 1, 2. Trouble beat.
This is an empty note card here.
Perfect.
Oh, no, it's not. We're going to do another segment.
Great.
This is a new segment called Things You Would Rather Do Than Drink a Bottle of.
Okay.
I'm going to list a couple of things, and you let me know if you would rather be forced to drink a full bottle of start to finish.
Okay.
You can't get up. Or maybe you can take a piss or something like that. But you have to drink it start to finish.
Great.
Or you could just do these things.
Great. Is there a timeline on the finishing of the bottle also? I feel like that.
2 hours.
Okay, great.
What if I said an hour and a half, though? Would it change things?
I think so, because you're drinking it so rapidly.
Okay,
if
hour.
If it was an hour, it would be like, oh, God, I got to get through this fucking...
Yeah.
bottle
Glass
in
every
an hour.
15 minutes.
Yeah, totally. And then you just
Let's
start
do
to
it.
creep with this gross feeling in your body.
Okay.
Comes on
It's
quick.
gotta. Let's do an hour and 15 minutes.
All right, great.
Me Pinot Noir. Did I specify that?
You didn't, but I think I got the image.
Okay.
It's the first one that came to my mind, for sure.
It's like a flashback.
Yeah. Vietnam.
Would you rather drink a full bottle of an hour and 15 minutes or have diarrhea for an afternoon?
Honestly, diarrhea for an afternoon.
Mhm.
It's not that bad. I get some time to myself.
Yeah.
Get to look at my phone for a while. It's,
Yeah.
It's me time. Might hurt a little bit, but I think ultimately would
Me
hurt
time.
less.
Okay.
Am I getting to that age? I don't have kids, but I feel like
You're
using the restroom.
the silent time for you is on the toilet. Okay, so you would rather have diarrhea for an afternoon. Would you rather when you're eating fast and then you bite the inside of your cheek and it hurts really bad and you're like, "Oh fuck, I bit it." And then it gets like swollen.
Yeah.
And sore, and then you bite on this, you chew on this side of your mouth for like a day and a half, but then you forget you're chewing it fast again, and then like the 2 days later, it's still swollen, and then you bite it again.
Yeah.
Would you rather do that or drink a full bottle of in an hour and 15 minutes?
Still, I think I'm gonna bite the inside of my cheek for sure. Pain is temporary. Drinking bad wine, in my opinion, is not.
Yep.
Those memories last a lifetime. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you rather pass a kidney stone?
Ooh, can't say I've ever passed one, so I don't know what that
Okay, fair.
feeling's like. But
I
can imagine it's pretty bad.
Well, yeah.
And I feel like I'm going back on my pain is temporary feeling, because I've heard kidney stones are pretty bad. I think I'm gonna.
You'll drink
Yeah.
That's your line.
Yeah,
Okay,
kidney stone.
fair.
I mean, fuck.
Dude,
Diarrhea for an afternoon, temporary, you can get
Yeah.
over it. Bite in your cheek, goes away.
Yeah.
Kidney stone, I mean, I've heard it's bad.
Yeah.
So, I don't
You
know.
want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
I've passed 5 kidney stones.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And you do that over drinking about.
This is the first time any one of my guests has asked me a question, and I'm
Oh.
very ill-prepared.
Oh, okay, great.
No, I'm just kidding. I believe... Well, here's the thing. The first time I passed the kidney stone, I didn't know what the fuck it was. And I was in the middle of nowhere in Texas. I was living in Big Bend National Park. Have you ever been out there?
I haven't, but
It's an hour and a half from a hospital.
yeah.
And I had spent the afternoon before in a hot spring. And I woke up the next day and I knew something was fucking wrong. Like I needed to pee, but I couldn't, And I thought, and I got park rangers involved because I was like starting to throw up and everything. And they shut down the hot spring. We didn't know if it was like a bacterial infection from, dude. And also some of the worst pain I've ever been in. I was living out of a car at that point, and so was my girlfriend at the time, and she had a shitty RAV4 that had a bed in the back, and she was booking it. We had a park ranger escort with the lights on.
Nice.
Like, she was booking it down this one lone highway in Texas, and I was in the back, and I had a bag This is kind of gross, dude. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I had a bag that I was throwing up in,
Uh-huh.
and then like a empty jug of water that I was peeing in, just laying horizontally in the back.
That's some skills.
We got to the hospital, and the doctor is like, by the way, an hour and a half from Big Bend, Texas is still the middle of nowhere, Texas.
For sure.
So it's like a tiny hospital in Alpine, Texas. And the doctor is like the most Texas doctor you could possibly imagine. Cowboy boots, jeans, and a cowboy hat.
Perfect.
And I'm bent over, like just groaning. And I guess the doctor went over to my girlfriend at the time, and he said, "Isn't it crazy how something so small can bring a grown man to his knees?" And so all that to say, I would rather do that again.
Yeah?
Than drink a bottle.
Amazing.
You never had any bad injury like that, huh?
I crashed a bicycle really badly one time and walked away from it, thankfully. Hobbled away from it. Yeah, that's probably the biggest one.
How
Never
old were
broken
you?
a bone. I think I was 21, 22.
Mm-hmm.
Crashed into a road sign, like in the median. Like dead stopped, fucking boom, smashed my whole body. I had like just the gnarly. I thought actually it was on my left side. I thought I broke my leg for a second, but I could walk on it, and dented my muscle, so I still have a little dent in my muscle. From
Whoa,
a tear.
that
Yeah.
you can do that?
Yeah. And it's just like kind of a little concave.
It was
yeah.
a tear or just?
I mean, I never went to the hospital, so damn. I got a bunch of aspirin. I asked my girlfriend to bring some ice home from work, and then I couldn't walk for. Actually, I tried to show up to work the next day. I worked at La Boca downtown Santa Fe, and tried to hobble around. And they were like, "Get the fuck out of here!" So like took a week off work, and but I'd probably do that again.
Rather than drink. Why do you think is the way that it is?
Why is it made the way that it is?
Just explain.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
It's kind of all that's wrong with the world in a bottle, right? It's just the conventional idea of this is gonna make you happy, and it's not. It's false dreams and false happiness.
Ooh, that's a great answer. Yeah. I think right now we'll cut and we'll take a word from our sponsor.
Excellent.
We'll edit in. I think what I want to do, this thought just came to me, is I want to do a fake ad.
Excellent.
And we're back. Yeah, no, it just, I brought it to my blind tasting group maybe like 2 months ago.
Nice.
I went to the grocery store, and I thought to myself, like, I haven't had this wine in probably like 7-8 years. And I had the thought too, like, I bet it's not as bad as I thought that it is. I bet that when we blind taste it to the group, we will all find something that we enjoy about it. Like in our wine community, in our wine circle, sometimes we do get on a pedestal, and we do trash certain wines.
Sure.
And while we sit in a wherever the fuck we are. This is not a trail. The trail's down there, and we kind of bushwhacked up here, and we drink delicious grower champagne.
Absolutely.
So I bought the bottle and I brought it to the blind tasting, and it's the entire tasting group. It doesn't even resemble wine.
Sure,
dude.
Yeah.
It's not even.
Do you follow the Chateau Garbage guy?
Yes, love that guy.
Fucking love him.
Yeah.
And he's like,
bunch
this
of jug
is
wines and
disgusting.
Yeah.
Wine grain in a glass.
Yeah.
Hot gasoline, masked with a fruity Kool-Aid flavor, maybe.
Yeah, that page is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are true professionals and you can sniff out the dog shit.
I mean, one person actually kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
What do you think of them?
I'm not gonna put. Well, I don't talk to him anymore.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Sorry.
put him on blast. But no, a person in the group, is a winemaker, and I kind of. First off, this is me being an asshole in a blind tasting group, by the way, because I'm also doing it to be like, I can't wait till somebody's like, ooh, I kind of like this. This is great mouthfeel, and then I'm like, you dumbass, this is But honestly,
fraud.
most people were like, "What the fuck is this?" And
What were the tasting notes on it?
Syrah, Mega Purple,
Uh-huh.
something like so like the candiest, darkest cherry, like there's some fruit in there for sure, but it's like
Like those
it's
little chocolate
plastic
cherry
chocolate cherry.
fake, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And then, well, first off, when you look at it, it's completely, you can't see through it. And this is supposed to be Pinot Noir.
Mhm.
And it's purple. And then it also had this like it like wood, but like not oak barrels, like chips,
Yeah.
wood chips.
sure.
Like a fake artificial toast. Vanilla extract for sure. And then, so all of this, and you might think that they're. These are all enormous qualities of like big wines that see new oak and heavy extraction.
Sure.
And then I don't know what else they're throwing in there, but they're trying to make it like restrained, maybe like some whole cluster Burgundian green stem inclusion thing as well. And so there was like a weird off herbaceous vegetal note
Sure.
in it as well. It was the most bizarre. Within 10 seconds, I have a winemaker in my blind tasting group. Within 10 seconds, he was like, we were all just like looking at the wine, and I have my head down because I'm kind of trying not to laugh. And we just all heard him just go, yuck.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking hate this wine. So kudos to him, 10 seconds into a blind, because I always have that thought too where I'm like, man, what if I say that I don't like this wine and it happens to be like first growth Bordeaux?
Sure.
Or, something that I'm maybe supposed to enjoy.
Well, that's subjective, right? I mean,
True.
Enjoy what you want to enjoy.
True.
People
True.
enjoy the shit out of them. They fucking buy it up, right? It was probably stacked at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the ceiling.
Yeah.
There were like inflatables. It was like, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, we're all on our own journey of what we like and what we love. So,
where are you at in your journey?
With liking and loving wine?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I know you as like a natural wine enthusiast.
Yeah. Advocate for sure. These days I just appreciate well-made fucking wine, integrity and intention in a bottle. Oftentimes, hundreds of years of history in a bottle. I think that speaks to me these days. Really supporting family traditions and really supporting those that have gone back to the way we used to make wine, and not throwing that shit in there. Being honest about what's in the bottle. Yeah. I wanted to segue off of what you were just telling me about the blind tasting. I brought a bunch of a long time ago, when my best friend in Seattle, he had just started an import company. And he brought a tour of French guys to tour the States, and we took them out to dinner at this really dimly lit, awful restaurant.
French winemakers?
Yeah, French
Okay.
winemakers. And they were touring the States, and they were visiting Seth as far as him being the new importer, and taking him to accounts. And we went to this horrible restaurant that I was like, Seth, why did we pick this? This is like, these are the French. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And he kept ordering like really extracted Mourvèdre from Walla Walla, like just these deep, dark, heavy wines.
Whoa.
And I just remember the Frenchies like swirling the glass and smelling it and just dumping it into the dump bucket and be like, this is shit.
Yeah.
And moving on. I was like, Seth, you gotta throw some Burgundy in there, like order some Pinot Noir. And then we found a bottle of Guimaro Mencia on the list, and I was like, get this. They're gonna fucking love this. Little crunchy, spicy, lighter bodied. And they're like, finally, we got a good glass of wine. But they were unabashed about it. They were like completely honest. They were just like, I'm not fucking drinking this gross wine, right?
Right. They weren't necessarily placing themselves in any of it. They were just like, there is good wine and there is bad wine, and I'm not
Mhm.
going to waste my time.
Yeah, exactly. Life's too short.
Why was that person doing? Why was Seth doing?
I think he was a little green and new, and he started his company by knocking on doors in Eastern Washington and like being like, "Hey, do you want me to sell your wine in the city for you?" And
Okay.
that's kind of how he got started. So his
Mhm.
like palate for wine was like, these deep, heavy reds that everybody was making there that some people enjoy for sure. And I think that he was like, "Oh, I want to show them Washington State and what these wines are because they're
Mhm.
important to me." And then got quickly humbled.
Yeah,
I feel
it's clashing.
But it was
there.
fine.
It's like
It
a
was,
clash of cultures.
Yeah,
there.
he recovered quickly.
Yeah.
But French, they want light wines. They want to be able to drink longer, and that was the
Mhm.
theme we actually ended up talking about. Was like, I don't want 15-16% alcohol. I want to drink all night.
Yeah.
And that's kind of revelation. And I bet that was high
It's
up
hot.
there for
It's
fucking
hot.
Pinot Noir. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's not right.
It kind
You-
of like cinched
sugar
your
did you put
palate
in
like
this?
some tequila.
Yeah, exactly.
But you didn't? Did you always have that perspective? Like, like I started drinking those wines too. Like, my gateway into wine. I was living in California when I first started getting into wine and studying wine, and those people will drink extracted cabs in July.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I like that every now and then. I
I
like
do
a
too.
big cab every now and then.
Yeah.
But that was where I kind of started. Did you always have this appreciation for lighter wines?
No,
or?
definitely not. I mean, I had mentioned before I worked at La Boca and I ran that wine program and was, we were slinging deep, heavy Tempranillo and Ribera del Duero reds and Priorots and like these big meaty wines for sure. And only recently in life, the last probably 5 or 6 years, have I had more of an appreciation for just that prolonged experience of drinking. If you're drinking with a bunch of friends and you got a bunch of bottles open, it's the lighter styles. I feel like are great for prolonged activity. But man, these days, like the last couple nights, I've had the Langmuir Freedom Shiraz. It's 176-year-old vine Shiraz from
Whoa.
Barossa Valley. It was luscious and deep and but balanced and but concentrated and pure. But it was 15.5%.
Yep.
And it was fucking stellar.
Yep.
And it was cold outside, and
Yes.
I was like, feeling this vibe of getting a warm hug in my mouth. Or,
Of course. Of course. It plays its role in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, it's not like a comfort food necessarily, but it's so comforting. Like, have a fire, a big, luscious, rounded Shiraz.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Slightly chilled, nothing too warm.
Okay, but then now the
course.
flip of this is, why does that wine have a role in the ecosystem and not? I mean, obviously does, but we've drawn that line.
Yeah.
So I think someone listening to this might be.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of work has been done in the last, let's just call it 10 years, for advocation for organic viticulture and not, adding things into wine that are bad for our bodies, adding things into our food system that are bad for our bodies. So I think the educational just aspect of it, diehards that have just been really going against the system of conventional winemaking and educating us all, and we've done our due diligence in that as far as soaking it all up and being like, don't drink this, drink that. I think everything has its place, obviously. I was next to somebody, those little mini, what are they, Sutter Home or something?
Yeah,
Sutter
yeah.
House, tiny bottles, just grabbing cases of those, and I was like, I'm
A
I
case
don't want to
of the little bottles.
yeah, I don't want to interrupt them and be like, you should not drink that, because they find some pleasure in that experience, I guess.
Right.
So I don't want to take from anybody's experience. I do like to blow people's minds wide open as far as drinking non-conventional wine. So that's where that's my place in the world right now, is just educating,
Yeah.
turning people on.
Well, in your tableside, floor sommelier, bar manager, what is your role at Palace?
I just actually took over as the general manager, so
Cool,
I'm
congrats,
running the
man.
restaurant now. Thank you.
Cool.
I was the wine director previously, and started there as a server when we first opened.
Yeah.
Just kind of seeing it through as far as what the next step in my career might be, but yeah.
So are you still tableside? Are you going to be helping out in that capacity yet?
I'm more schmoozing these days.
Schmoozing.
I'm getting people primed up for their experience, and I
cool.
did that last night. Like I was mentioning, we had a really great night, and it was good to just like have a team behind me that I could be like, oh, you want to talk about wine? Let me segue in this fantastic wine person. I could do it too.
Ah, yes.
But I want the experience of touches at that table to be like magical, right? There's so many people coming up and saying hi and checking on you, and that part of hospitality is really, really important to me right now in my career, and I finally kind of get to show that off, which is nice.
For sure. But let's go back to when you were tableside.
Sure.
Because you've helped me out many times, provided exceptional service. But how do you approach that? When someone's coming in and they have an idea in their head of what they're going for, and it might be one of these really big, heavily extracted wines. Do you take it as your responsibility to guide them in a path that still fits those desires of theirs but is different? Or are you just like, you know what? You're here at the restaurant. Let me give you the experience you want, and I'll open some opus for you or whatever they want.
Totally. I mean, I keep those bottles around for people that are going to order them by name and, be like, I want this. And I'm like, perfect. I marked it up a bunch.
Got it for you.
You're gonna enjoy that.
Yes.
If somebody's like, I like this type of wine, or this is one of my favorite producers, that's a perfect opportunity for me to segue into something that I bought, that I appreciate, that I support.
Yep.
And so that's one of my favorite parts about selling wine, is turning people on to new product and stuff that I'm passionate about. And then they come in the next time and they're like, oh shit, like that bottle was super amazing. Let's try something different. And then starts this, chain reaction of like somebody breaking the norm of like what their parents drunk. That's a big thing in the wine world, is just people continuing on this like almost legacy of wine drinking that we're kind of breaking that mold as far as what our parents used to drink, for sure.
Did your folks drink wine?
No. My mom was never really a drinker. I didn't know my pops. I just met him recently in life, actually.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so little segue. I took a DNA test. Never knew my dad growing up, and came back. I was 49% Sicilian. And
Whoa!
I was like, what the fuck? I thought my dad was Polish or something. His last name was like what my mom thought, Nowitzki, right? So I was like, I grew up thinking I was like a Polak and German and Irish, and so was like, oh shit, like no wonder I love food and wine so much, and I'm passionate and full of fiery. And then was showing my partner, and she's also Italian, and I was like, I think I'm a little bit more Italian. And we were comparing it, and I saw a little blip at the top that there was a message or a match, right? And it was a half sister, so we shared 50% of our DNA. And I was like, messaged her. She messaged me back. They live in Phoenix, and
oh my
so
gosh.
I just met the Tomasellis last year, and this whole Italian family. My grandparents are immigrated from Sicily. They're 93 and 86, and the whole family crest on the wall. So,
no.
I envision them drinking Italian for sure. And then Sicilian wines, just kind of fell in love with those recently in life also, and made that connection. And
post learning about the heritage?
Pre-learning about heritage, kind of getting a little bit of exposure to them, and then all of a sudden, like, some really great producers are coming in, and then not, the market wasn't flooded with them by any means, but there was, like, approachable bottles for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I had no idea about any of that.
Yeah. So
thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. So,
are you comfortable talking about it?
Yeah, totally.
All right. Cool.
So it's been a unique connection to a heritage I never knew, and but I'm really inspired by, because I always felt like the rest of my family was like blonde haired, blue eyed. I had brown hair, big eyebrows,
right?
Like, tanned a little bit darker in the sun, and was like, huh.
You were like,
Something's
different.
Something's different. Yeah.
But you could never. Oh, you even had that thought as a kid.
I just knew that, like, my grandma, my mom, my sister, like, that side of the family was all
Interesting.
didn't look like me. You know,
Wow.
as far as hair color and eye color. Beautiful eyes, like blonde hair, fair skin, and yeah. So always knew something was different, and then, you know, got into food and wine, and like, you know, had a busing job when I was 16 with at David Sellers, actually, that's running Orno. That's his restaurant. He had an Italian restaurant called Amavi, where Saison is now, and just kind of had my mind blown wide open with food. Before that, I was working at the Blue Corn and like slinging enchiladas and shit, and I was
Cool.
like, oh yeah, food's cool.
Yeah.
And then had that, you know, aha moment where I was like, holy shit, food's really fucking amazing.
It can
And,
be something more.
yeah, special and loving and magical, and, you know, and so ran with that, I think, and, you know,
So it was food first.
food first, because I was a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and I would, you know, I'd steal like half-drink sangrias and, you know, old warm martinis off tables and pound them in the dish pit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But food came first, and then and I moved to Seattle, Washington when I was 18, and struggled out there. The economy was shit. It was like 2008. Everything crashed.
Oh, right.
And then eventually came home and came back here and started at La Boca as a busser, and just had an amazing wine director there who then, you know, blew my mind further open with wine.
Mm-hmm.
And then wine became, you know, a little bit of my life for the last 15 years.
For sure. What sense of, when you learned this about yourself, what, there must have been some sense of like validation, or like, oh my God, did this make sense? Or
Totally.
what were you thinking, man?
I mean, the whole time I thought, you know, that my father wanted nothing to do with me, right? That, you know, they knew that I was a child and born to them, and, you know, left my mom and kind of skipped town before I was born, kind of deal, right? So always had this like deep resentment towards a human that I didn't even know, that I just had an idea of in my head. And yeah, lived with that for a long time. It was like, you know, it's always a struggle growing up with one parent, and, you know, watching your mom struggle, and, you know, never having that, you know, good life, quote unquote, or whatever. And then discovering you have a whole side of your family that actually, you know, wanted to meet me and wanted to be a part of my life was, you know, it's heavy shit.
Yes.
But it was really warming, and, you know, it felt like a piece of me was finally completed in a, you know, sense. So, yeah.
Were you able to, is your father still alive?
Yeah,
Were you able
still
to
alive.
meet him? And
Yeah, totally. So I Bella and I, my partner, booked a music festival in Phoenix, because they all live in Phoenix, and went, and I have 3 other half siblings to him and their mom, and so Haley was the one I connected with on the DNA app, and so we booked this music festival, and we're meeting the family, so we're doing this like cool dual trip.
what a
fun.
weekend!
Yeah, super fun. You know, incredibly nerve-wracking, right? You're meeting like, and it's a big Italian family. There's like, you know, they live in this big-ass house that my grandfather built in Scottsdale. He was a barber and started all these hair salons when he first moved here, and then started an empire and sold them, right?
Whoa.
Made a bunch of money. Yeah,
Cool.
just cutting hair. Just
Cool.
like crazy.
Yeah.
And Nona, she's like, you know, they cook every day. They're like up at 6 in the morning, like cooking food on Sundays, like Sunday sauce, super traditional
Sunday sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Italian family,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so, me being in the food and wine industry and like having this like excitement about food and wine, was so excited to like, because we'd been exchanging pictures, and they're like, look at all the food we cook, and I was like, holy fucking shit, I can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
And she did that on Sunday, like cooked a huge fucking lunch of meatballs and pasta and sauce and fresh made bread and fucking insane.
Yeah.
And so, you know, hung out with them. My grandmother, my mom's mom, also lives in Phoenix, and so she came with me, because she was like, I mean, I knew these guys, but my mom went to high school with them. And that's how, you know,
Right.
they met, and they had a bar in Phoenix called the Mason Jar Bar, and my mom would bartend there, and like that's where it all, you know, kind of happened. And then she thought it was somebody else, because, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was, you know, incredibly, I was super nervous, but super excited, and, you know, now have this whole
Wait,
side of
hold
this
on.
family.
She thought it was somebody else.
Yeah,
Like you mean like
because she
your
was
dad?
Yeah, she was in
Right.
her, early 20s and
Yeah.
messing around.
Right.
and-
I just wanted to make sure I understood what you meant.
yeah, totally.
Um.
And then she had like a boyfriend that, then left, and that's who I thought my dad was the whole time. 'cause
Okay.
She thought too, and we even did a DNA test with him, and it came back negative. But she thought that like his brother took it, and there was this whole like
Oh.
paranoia about that in my in that side of the family. That it was like just enough off that it didn't match or something.
So
This is in
then
the 90s, so it's
Your biological father was also learning of this.
yeah.
Did
He had
he
no
have
idea.
any idea? Like,
No,
man, I slept with that lady, and then 9 months later she had a kid.
he had no idea.
No one put it together.
The story and what I've heard, because his brother Natali had an idea, because he lived in Hawaii and he came back after I was born, and he was like, "Hey, Shelly, I wanted to like check up on you, like swinging back by town," and like she thinks that he knew the whole time
Uh-huh.
that it was his kid, that it was his brother's kid. So,
Uh-huh.
and he's just like, "I just want to see the baby."
Oh.
So yeah.
Wow.
Old, like long, dun dun dun, like kind of drama history.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Dude, you want to know? So something crazy that I've like started to maybe become aware of as I'm getting older is how similar I am to my dad.
And you knew your dad?
Yeah. He's been in my life,
Mhm.
and great guy. I'm really close with my family,
Awesome.
but just like little things, like I always thought growing up that I was like my mom because I was always a real emotional boy. I would cry all the time. And people just thought like, and my mom always cries.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom's
Same.
very emotional.
Yeah.
So I just always thought, I'm just like my mom. And then as I got, and my dad was kind of like, my dad was like factory worker. He worked at General Motors. He like he did like demolition derby and shit. He
Nice.
like fixed cars and like, he had a mullet, all this stuff. So I never
Yeah.
felt like I related to my dad
Sure.
a whole lot. But then as I started to get a little bit older, I would look at myself and like how I get out of bed and like my shoulders and how I walk, and people would start to be like, "Oh my God, you look so much like your dad," or like, "That's so much. Your dad would totally do that." And then the last time I went home, I was looking at our hands, and I was like, "We
Yeah.
have the same
Yeah.
exact hands."
Yeah, I'll show you some pictures in a minute, and you'll be like, "Oh, fucking holy shit!"
So this is what I was wondering.
Yeah.
When you look at this guy for the very first time, are you like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that's
I
what
get
it is. Brown eyes, brown hair,
Yeah.
and I was in little bit darker skin. I mean,
Uh-huh.
obviously they live in Phoenix, and like everyone there is just a dark little lizard, but you can definitely tell.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sicilian people, it's like a
Yeah.
sun-scorched
Phoenix makes sense.
Earth, right?
Yeah, a little away from ocean, from the sea, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
So it was, and I was like, oh, and like I said, they had the whole family crest from both sides of the family up on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Dating back to like, I don't know, early 1800s, like whenever cameras were invented and they started taking pictures, like great grandparents.
Yeah.
And seeing similarities in there and be like, holy shit, like there's the big eyebrows, there's the, dark hair. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, holy shit, this is fucking
Yeah.
trippy. So it was this incredibly like trippy experience.
I bet.
But one that was filled with so much love and like instantaneous, which was like I wasn't expecting, right? And because
There was no like weirdness. It was like
no, and the other side of my family, my mom's side, they're like not loving. They're passive aggressive. They're like, my grandpa, her dad never told them, like was like, never like I love you or like here's a hug or anything.
Yeah.
And my grandma too. They were all just like little passive aggressive weirdos. And
Uh-huh.
That's kind of how we.
You know what's
were
funny
raised.
is my mom's side of the family's like that too.
So funny. And then I walk into this house and they're like,
Get some food. Make yourself
oh
a
my
plate.
God, look at you.
Yeah. Oh.
And like my grandparents are like 5 foot. Like maybe he's 5'1" and she's like 4'10", tiny
Uh-huh.
little Sicilian people.
Yeah.
And then I'm like towering over them. I'm 6'2", and I'm like, come here, Nona. Oh my God. I'll show you some pictures.
That's
when
so
we're done. It's,
cute,
like,
man. I'm
pretty
kind of
funny.
getting emotional just
Yeah.
for you, man. This
Yeah.
is a really special. That's so cool, man.
Yeah. And so I brought a bunch of Sicilian wine with me. We ate lunch. They drank wine. So I
Uh-huh.
envisioned them, circling back, drinking, a lot of Italian wines.
Yeah.
And,
And they're like, no, we'll take some Naomi.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, I'm just
I didn't dig in the cellar, but
So then, obviously, the physical. Sorry, I keep asking. This is just fascinating to me. One more question, and
Please.
then we can move on. So obviously, the physical, it's there. You see, like, oh yeah, these people look like me. This makes sense. Then you're hanging out, spending some time, and then you're like, oh, I'm starting to see, you start to almost learn things about yourself, maybe, or like you see traits of your personality in this gathering. Outside of, you're a very warm person. I've always known you as a very warm person, and it sounds like you got that warm embrace from them as well. But anything outside of that you're like, oh my God, I got this from them.
You know, I can't speak to that too much. I mean, meeting my dad was pretty awkward. Like, he's had he went to prison for a while. I don't even know for what, but spent like 6 years in prison. So he's a little bit of like
he did some serious time.
Yeah, he's a little harder.
Yeah.
Big, like meaty hands, like
yeah.
Big guy. And so we didn't connect immediately. We've been connecting a little bit more, trying to connect a little bit more recently. I need to get back there actually and see them, but generally no, I didn't like notice any traits other than how warm and welcoming they were, and how warm and welcoming I am, right? Like, family's important to me, but also like my friend group family, like that's been my real family throughout history. Like, those connections are super deep, and what's kind of made me good in the hospitality industry is that like warming embrace, to be able to like accept anybody in, not judge, just spread love and good vibes. And so definitely connected on that for sure. And then the cooking, and like all of a sudden, like, I've been in the front of the house my whole career, and during COVID, we all got a chance to take a break, and like, man, I just fell in love with like Maddie Matheson and like cooking videos and shit that was made simple, like cook from the heart. Like, you don't need all these crazy ingredients.
Yeah.
So just started cooking more at home, and then paying attention to techniques with all the chefs around me, and then fell in love with cooking. So I love cooking. And then started, found out I was Italian, started cooking more Italian food. And then, even just making like carbonara or something, like I've been making pasta wrong my whole fucking life. And then learning about making pasta, and I'm like, oh, this is fucking good.
What do you mean?
Like, building the sauce and making the, carbonara mix with like egg yolk and Parmesan cheese, and pouring in the pasta water with the guanciale, that's grease that you've cooked, and stirring that up and getting those starches moving, and then you mix in that carbonara cream and turn the heat off, and it just comes together, right?
You mix the Parmesan with the egg yolk first.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you make like this, and it doesn't necessarily cook, it more just like melts together, right?
Yes.
So you're kind of eating like raw
egg
egg at
yolk,
that point,
yeah.
slightly cooked, but not scrambled. So just those little tips that, like, watching Italians cook.
It was second nature to them.
Yeah.
They're not thinking of it.
But then it almost felt like second nature to me, and I was like, oh, maybe this is a built-in, heritage thing of like, you're kind of born into it.
Yeah. You're born into mixing the Parmesan with the egg yolk
instead
first.
of straining your water and like putting the pasta back in the pot and then, adding Prego or whatever.
Yeah.
You're building sauce and you're building flavor over time. And
and it's a slow thing.
Slow. And
it needs to be slow.
Yeah. And with love, and that's you can't rush it. It's all timing. It's a love language. Like, cooking pasta is very sensual and very there's a lot of great noises in there and slops and
100%.
Yeah.
And are you making the pasta from scratch?
I haven't started making pasta from scratch yet. But we make it at the restaurant, so I get a
nice,
sneak some away every once in a while.
Yeah,
they make it. I just haven't found time to like dedicate that much time to like cooking. Baking also has like I've always been scared of baking. It's like so scientific, and I like to cook from the heart and just like throw shit together.
Add a little bit of this, add a little bit of that.
So eventually I'll find time again to, make my sourdough bread and focaccia and roll out pasta.
You've been making bread already or no? Okay, yeah.
I've been starting
that's a whole
for
thing.
years, and then letting them die and just being like, oh, so sorry.
We'll get to it next time.
So sorry, I let you die again. Damn it.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I also let you live.
I brought you here.
Thank God a little bit.
All right, this is going to segue into the next segment.
Oh, this is really nice.
Isn't it nice?
Sitting in
the
the sun, drinking champagne.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Needed this.
Well, and this is honestly, like earlier it was kind of a joke where I was like, people don't really understand wine, so here are some food pairings, and we did the whole bullshit about the. But genuinely,
Yeah.
This is how you enjoy. Like, you don't really. Some people like overthink it, and they're like, I got to get this special bottle for the anniversary or something like this. But then also some people, I guess, underthink it, and they're like, I'll get my barefoot Merlot again.
Plonk, yeah. Going to Europe changed my perspective on how we enjoy wine for sure. It's
Same.
it really is it's a part of us as human beings. We've evolved with it for thousands of years. We've been closely related to it. It's almost, as much a part of us as we are of it. Like such a synchronicity in a relationship, and what the French, what the Spanish, Portuguese, everywhere I've been, it was, it's just a part of the experience. It's not, you don't overthink it. Of course, we've got reserved special bottles that, we're going to drink on special occasions, but grab a bottle, grab a snack.
Yeah.
Hang out with some friends.
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple.
It's the company.
Yeah.
Really.
It really is, and it helps, it elevates the company. It's, it loosens us up. It lets us go deeper. It lets us, fall in love and, fall out of love sometimes. And
100%. 100%. I even go so far. I've always had this theory, and I just tell people about it, and just food for thought. But I think that we see we subconsciously know that about wine. Like, we see ourselves in wine. Like a young wine, we use the same terms to describe a young wine as we do a young person.
Sure.
And we use the same terms to describe an old wine the way we do an older person.
Yeah.
And I think that if
character and integrity and,
Yeah. Like wisdom and like
maturity.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And
It's very true.
I don't know, like grapes have a life.
Yeah.
And so do we. And there's something with that connection that
Yeah, and they sometimes, live way longer than we do and keep
100%.
fucking growing and making fruit. It's just incredible.
100%.
I saw a really like it hit pretty good, and I was like, oh, this is a really great quote. But from a winemaker, I can't remember his name, but he said, alcohol is God's apology for making us self-aware.
Yeah,
And I was like,
I've heard this.
that also, goes hand in hand with that. Like, life can be really hard.
Yeah.
It can also be really beautiful.
Yeah.
But, there's this little loving crutch that we have.
There's
through all of
moments
that.
where we can enjoy and sort of forget about all of it.
Yeah.
And kind of just be in the moment.
Absolutely.
Anyways, thanks for listening to that. I went on a
course.
diatribe there. We're gonna do a new segment where this is a new segment called Guest Asks the Host.
Okay.
So you go ahead and ask that question.
Excellent. Zach, what the fuck is this podcast?
Okay, good question, because a bunch of people are asking me this. And I'm hoping that you and I can dig into this a little bit.
Perfect.
And because it dawned on me,
Mm-hmm.
why do I want to do this podcast? I think it's so that I can raise enough money to enjoy a trip to Italy, because I'll never be able to really afford. I'll never be able to afford the trip to Italy that I really want. I mean, like, I can't take time off work because
Sure.
sales and all of that, and so I want to do a trip to Italy, and I think that's the whole goal of the podcast.
It's like when we used to sell, candy bars in elementary school to like raise money for a trip or a prize. I love it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Innocent.
I'm gonna attach a GoFundMe or something, maybe a Patreon. But I'm hoping that you and I, maybe an OnlyFans, and I'm hoping that you and I can get into the budget here.
Perfect.
Because if I'm gonna spend, it takes a long time editing videos and audio. If I'm gonna spend all this time on this podcast, I'm gonna want to do a pretty lavish trip, and I don't even mean like, fuck it, you know what I mean? If other people are gonna fund the trip for me, so here are a couple things that I want to do.
Cool.
And we'll figure out a budget from here.
Great.
I want to fly first class. I've never flown first class, and
Me
I've never
either.
seen myself or anyone in my family as someone being able to afford a first class ticket.
Same.
But if other people are gonna buy it for me, I'm gonna try to fly first class.
Absolutely.
Those are expensive tickets.
Yeah.
Also, it's gonna be Grace and I, so we're funding this for 2 people. But also, this is just coming to me now in the moment. Anyone's invited.
Cool.
So if you want to come,
Nice.
maybe we have guests from the podcast. We do some episodes out there.
Cool.
We're gonna fly first class.
Excellent.
It's gonna be 3 weeks.
Perfect.
Enough time that you're actually like away.
Plenty.
You know, we could do a month, but
3 weeks is great.
3
You
weeks
start
is-
to miss your bed, and you're like, this has been a
100%.
lot.
but enough time that you are away from your routine.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stay in very cool Airbnbs
Mm-hmm.
or hotels.
Great.
I don't know what the budget for that is, but I want to do it big. You know,
Yeah.
I want to eat the best food that I can. That might not even be the most expensive food, mind
Sure.
you. And oftentimes it's not.
Oftentimes it will not be, for sure. But, throw in some Michelin-starred restaurants, and
We have to hit some of those.
Of course.
And then some like winemaker kitchens
Yeah.
as well.
Of course.
And I want to drink. I want to not think about the price tag on bottles of wine when I'm out there.
Cool.
You can only drink so many ounces of wine
Uh-huh.
in 3 weeks.
Sure.
But for 3 weeks, I want to not think about. Just see what that's like. Because some people live like that.
Yeah.
Just for 3 weeks, I want to
Yeah.
live this dream.
I think that's a
So what kind of budget?
amazing dream.
What kind of budget
Hmm.
are we thinking?
Got tickets, what? 4?
Okay.
4 to 6?
A person.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like for a
We'll call it 5.
first class. Sure. Call it 5.
So we're at
Airbnbs,
10,000 right now.
3 weeks. Let's call it probably $1,000 a week. I think you could stay in some pretty fucking rad places.
For
Airbnbs?
for housing.
Yeah.
Cool.
150 to 100.
See,
bucks a
that
night.
almost seems a little low for me.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed in some rad places in Portugal that were like 100, 110 bucks a night.
Okay.
So
all right.
I don't know.
Let's budget 150 a night
Yeah,
then.
200.
200
Yeah.
a night.
Great.
Good call.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually,
You're gonna want a big house.
let's just
with
do 250.
a gorgeous pool, grotto area, like
Okay, so now what does that
You're
come
not
to?
just sleeping 2 people. You're sleeping a theoretical,
What's-
10 people.
it's a home.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 250 a night comes to how much a week? So that's 500, 1,000, 1,500. So 1,750 a week.
Sure.
So then that would be 35, 36. And then you want to call it 55.
55. All right.
55 budget.
So we're at 15,000 so far.
Mm-hmm.
Just staying in and flying.
Staying in flight.
Cool.
Yeah.
Eating and wine budget.
Yeah, now we really get into it.
It's like a
Cheaper out there
sure.
because of the fact that we're not paying import taxes,
Cool.
distribution taxes, but
Are you drinking just Italian wine, or are you looking for gems and
looking for gems.
cool?
But focus on Italian wine because we'll
course.
be eating Italian food.
Absolutely.
Daily budget for wine. Maybe we have to think about that.
Daily budget for wine.
I mean, what? Maybe 2 bottles a day?
Sure.
You can't. I mean, you
one
can't
of
drink
those-
that much wine.
One of those is gonna be €10.
Yeah. Yes.
One of them's gonna be €300.
Okay. All right. So that's a good like.
You're drinking baller champagne. You're finding stuff with age, vintage. You
Yes.
know?
Yes.
You're looking for Burgundy. Yeah. Man.
But there are going to be days where you spend 1,000 or 2,000 euro on a bottle of wine.
Yeah. So, and this is per person, right? To eat and drink.
Sure.
Okay.
Or maybe just an overall trip budget.
Overall trip budget for food and wine,
21 days.
21 days. $10,000? Is that crazy?
I was thinking 20.
20.
Mhm.
Perfect. Better. All right, great.
I mean, like all of this, I want to dig into some sellers.
Absolutely.
So wait, what are we at? 20. So we're at 35, 36,000 now?
Yeah.
35,000.
Great.
Is that the number?
And then
Well,
you're
we
going to
wanna
want
do
trinkets
stuff.
and stuff and like go
Yeah.
to cool museums and, you
Yep.
know, 40.
Mhm.
40.
Let's call it 45.
45. Great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, marking the release of this episode is the day that the fundraising starts for 45,000.
Excellent.
Will this work or not?
I think that it has the potential to work for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. You throw in some, advertisement in there. Maybe
Right.
you get a partnership. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All press is good press, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they might take it.
Yeah.
Our community is strong. You've been incredibly strong in your community, so I mean, fuck, what's $20 thrown at you?
So it's a little support there.
Yeah.
How do I sweeten the pot for somebody that's going? Because also we got to hit the big donors, like that person that's going to drop $5,000. There are people out there
Mhm.
that will spend $5,000.
Totally.
How do you sweeten the pot for
What
them?
about curated som experiences at their home for, guests dinner kind of deal?
Yep.
Maybe partner with a chef friend and
That's
they
great.
donate their time kind of deal.
That's a great
Hey,
idea.
homie, help me out.
Yep.
It's for a good cause.
Mhm.
Flying first class, right? I've never done it. Make a boy's dreams come true. Come on. What else can we do?
Because I was thinking maybe making content from the trip, and that's all well and good, but that's not. I mean, who cares? If you spend $5,000 and you're like, you get an episode about me on the Amalfi Coast trashing, not a whole lot,
Yeah,
But
but people love living vicariously also, and I think that there's
something
there's
there.
monetary value in that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, sponsors from all the great wine that you sell.
Yeah.
You do your great videos on stuff. You've done a great job at Jubilation moving wine, so maybe some of the bigger cats would like to chip in with that.
Cool.
Sponsorship from
Yep.
What's the name of the company? L&M?
Doesn't even matter.
Favorite Brands, formerly
known as Favorite Brands. Yeah.
Yeah. You can sell drugs.
Okay. To make 40 grand.
Yeah.
Or no, 45. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What drugs are we talking?
I mean, I don't even know. What
You got to hit
money
you got to meet
anymore.
the market where it's at.
Yeah, totally. Not selling weed, that's for sure.
No point in it now.
No. Guess fentanyl's pretty big.
Fent.
so,
Cool. I mean, we're gonna get there either way.
Yeah.
I just don't really. I prefer not to kill anybody in the process.
Totally.
I think it's bad PR.
I think it's probably
Then again,
Scratch the.
Then again, we just watched the terrible fight that was Jake Paul, Mike
God.
Tyson. And remember, if we go back to early on in the Paul's career,
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been Logan, but do you remember he went into like that suicide forest
Yeah.
and filmed a dead body?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was terrible PR.
Yeah.
And they just made $40 million.
Yeah.
And this is a theme,
Weren't they on
actually.
the Disney Channel too?
Yep.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Boy, did those videos surface online when he was about to fight
God.
Mike Tyson.
Did you see Mike Tyson turning around in his jockstrap?
Sure did.
Oh,
I was
fucking
watching it live.
gold. That was the best part. Of that whole
Hilarious.
experience.
And actually,
Me too.
I was getting a little emotional at the whole thing because I was like, oh, this is great. Mike Tyson clearly had a say in who they're hiring, so he's like, I'm going to let my son interview me. And they had a great moment where he's like, Dad, I love you. Good luck out there. And he's like, I love you too. And they kiss. And then walks away and bare ass.
And he was just like, oh, all right, that's Dad's butt. Damn.
Dude, I laughed so hard.
It was like it was honestly like watching the old WWF like that I grew up with, like how crazy that shit used to be, and like I was like, this production value on this is just. Are they laughing at us? Is this a joke?
Yeah.
Is this like real?
Yeah.
Is this real life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that moment, I was like, oh my fucking God. Gold.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. You can't write it.
Yeah, no, that was perfect.
Yeah, I saw something online that was like, this would only happen in this stream on Netflix and The Office.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that fight was really boring though.
Yeah.
Okay, so 45,000
Mm-hmm.
for myself
I think
and
it's
my
doable.
girlfriend and anybody else that wants to join to go to Italy. Well, I appreciate you helping me out with the budget.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this in real life. One Trick Pony Burger. You know the pony
Love 'em.
burgers.
Love 'em.
You know, Sarah did a fundraiser for a food truck setup. We raised 25 grand in 30 days.
Whoa.
And that was just the community of Santa Fe, right? And it turned out that the truck she was going to buy was a scam. And so now she's like repivoting to try to find something else.
Oh,
but
no.
That whole time they were like, of course we're going to build this for you and ship it out. Turned out it was a fucking scam. So,
Damn, that's shitty.
but you know, gets the winter now to rebuild and come back stronger.
They don't do anything over the winter, huh?
No, but like through that fundraiser, her business grew incredibly. She got more opportunities at concert venues and partnerships in that way,
Mm-hmm.
and just sold a shit ton of burgers. So I mean, yeah, I think it's doable.
Yeah.
And Albuquerque's bigger. You've also got Santa Fe behind your back. So
Yeah.
I mean, why
Well, I
not?
appreciate the support,
Yeah.
too. I appreciate you, and seems like you've been an advocate for me and a homie, so I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, brother. It's an interesting business, and
It
to
is.
find those in the same likeness of you is rare these days. So yeah.
Oh, man, that's
Same.
sweet.
Of course.
I'll get you some champagne for that.
Thank you.
You keep complimenting me. Okay, I ask everybody the same 3 questions.
Cool.
Thanks, buddy. This has been great.
Yeah. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, man.
This is I needed this too. This is a great little
Same.
escape from the
Same.
normalcy of life. So.
Yeah. Good. Okay, I'm glad you feel the same
Yeah.
way. Okay. I asked the same people I asked people the same 3 questions. Do you? And actually, I can't remember the order that I asked them in. But what is your desert island wine or varietal?
Man.
I know. I should have sent it to you beforehand. It's
No,
a
it's
big
fine.
question to ask spontaneously.
I really enjoy drinking cold, high acid white wines.
Mhm.
And I think, I'm going to go Chenin Blanc or Riesling. I don't have anything specific in mind, but if I'm on a hot desert island, something cold and refreshing, probably won't be cold, but
Yeah.
still might be refreshing. Yeah.
Chenin or
Blanc
Riesling.
Riesling, they're both chameleons of grapes that can be, sweet to dry, and
Right.
the acid is high.
Yep.
And that's what balances them, and I love that harmonious relationship of those 2 experiences together in my mouth.
100%.
Yeah.
Great choices.
Thank you.
Do you have one bottle of wine that you can look back on as your potential aha moment of I thought wine was one thing, and then I had this bottle, and then it made me realize that it's a new thing?
Yeah. I will say it is a Kermit Lynch import. It's the Trench, the
Catherine
Cabernet Franc.
Pierre.
Yeah, Catherine Pierre. Blew my mind open. So it was Riesling and Cab Franc that were my introduction to how crazy wine can be, right?
Mhm.
Cab Franc is ethereal and earthy and crunchy, and it's just like a whole unique experience than drinking Pinot or Cab, in my opinion. And that was the one that, when I was 21 years old, never drank wine before, and was like, oh shit, I could drink wine. And then shortly after that, became a wine director at La Boca. So it was
Cab Franc from the Loire Valley.
yeah.
That's one of my favorite producers of all time.
Yeah, me too. And the Dilettante, they do the little
The
sparkling
Bourgogne?
Chenin. Fuck. Oh no, the sparkling.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
That wine's delicious. Have you
Yeah.
had the Dilettante Bourgogne?
Yeah, totally.
I love that wine.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they're gangsters.
Yep. And Champollion Vouvray also
Mm-hmm.
was one of those. Kermit Lynch blew my mind open. Off dry a little bit, but just like so high on acidity.
Mm-hmm.
Great food wines.
Yep, 100%.
And I remember after that having another unique experience with Cab Franc, naked, tripping on acid at the Valley View Hot Springs up in Colorado.
Oh,
You
never
ever
been.
there?
Okay.
Gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Full moon. Drinking Cab Franc out of the bottle. Just like not human anymore. and,
Yeah.
like, dissolved into this entity that was not myself, but myself at the same time, like
Whoa.
rebirth, yeah.
Cab Franc on
Fucking
acid.
Cab Franc, man. Life changing.
What was that like? I've actually never drank wine on acid.
I mean, your senses are elevated.
Are they the
everything's more
same?
energetic.
Is it like
No, I would say that you get a more heightened experience of bitter and acid in your mouth. You're more prone to, I'm not going to say necessarily experience different flavors, but it just changes a little bit.
Yeah.
The way things interact in your body is just maybe a little bit elevated in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So Cab Franc seemed like the just perfect choice for that. I've always found it to be like an ethereal grape. It's the father of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, and all these powerhouses in the wine world started with that earthy, down to earth grape.
Yep.
So it almost felt grounding to drink it.
It would have to.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's fascinating. Do you remember the producer?
That was Fred Signeau is the producer.
Okay.
Not very well known. He might be coming on with Kermit in the future. He was part of that group that I was talking about earlier with the Frenchies that came to
cool.
Seattle in that first round.
Cool.
And makes really incredible small production Cab Franc, and he makes his own sulfur. So he doesn't use sulfur. So a lot of people don't know sulfur is actually a byproduct of the oil and gas industry, and that's where a lot of sulfur comes from for wine. He has in the Loire Valley, he has an old sulfur deposit on his property that's like part of that kind of earthy tuffeau that he uses straight like mineral sulfur from the earth.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
I've never
in
heard of
small
anybody
quantities,
doing
but
that.
when he has to. Yeah.
And he's still restrained with it.
Yeah,
He's
of
not
course.
like,
These are
this
natural
is my own
wines,
sulfur.
but,
Let's douse it.
Biodynamic farming. If he has to make a small correction, he's gonna save his crop.
That
sure.
is fascinating.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. And I was like, that blew me away. So
Whoa.
yeah, and he's got a good touch with Cab Franc for sure.
Yeah. Wow, I want to try that
Yeah.
now.
I'll see if I have a bottle laying around. I might.
Yeah. Last question. If you could go back and talk to your younger self, whenever you were sort of like getting into or maybe at any point in life, not even necessarily related to wine, if you could go back and give yourself a single piece of advice, regardless of whether or not that younger version of yourself would take it in, you just have to give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Probably to slow down. I spent a lot of my life moving too fast, and I reflect on it now, and I wish I would have taken my time a little bit more with things and enjoy the moment a little bit more. I would enjoy the moment and then immediately move on. I feel like through the early part of my life, and a lot of that stems from past trauma of like growing up and never being completely stable. So I've always felt that I had to, this won't last long. Enjoy it, move on. And then working in the restaurant business is just so fast paced that 10 years goes by and you're like, holy fucking shit, what did I do? Slowing down, yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you, brother.
All right, give me a hug.
It's a pleasure. Oh, I love you too. That was nice.
Yeah.